Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to the Big Think Dimension with Dan and Bob Video Games. This is a Power World free zone. I like to call it the Friend Zone.
That sounds fine.
Chris Wolfhard.
Grand opening, grand closing.
And Dr. Aggro.
It's just January.
Here on GigaBoots. If he's so good at layoffs, do you think anyone should challenge him to a layup game? Like, just so you think you can play ball, Phil? He's like, uh-oh.
They get him in that Escape from LA basketball court.
Yes! That'd be really good.
I mean, he's also 60, so I don't think he's moving too fast under any circumstances.
Is Steve Buscemi still in the crowd?
Of course.
Okay.
He doesn't get to leave.
Said he loves a consolidator. Anyways, welcome to Big Think Dimension number 258. Where the title at the top is wrong, the background is wrong, everything's wrong.
No.
Sometimes
We're back
these
in
things
time.
happen. Yes, let's pretend it's a man. Avowed looked pretty cool.
Man, that's cool that they wait till the week after their developer showcase to fire everyone this time.
Instead of during it, is that what?
Well, I mean, literally last year they did it a week before the developer showcase.
Yeah, well, they shuffled things around. I wonder why we got that showcase a little early.
Yeah, I think we got the showcase a week early because now today is the anniversary of Hi-Fi Rush releasing. Wow.
Oh boy.
What a great set of circumstances.
Circumstances acts like it wasn't avoidable.
Yeah, it does.
Anyways, hello everyone. How's it going? Did you know that that is the real thumbnail for this week now right there? And it's pretty cool. Ooh. You need to go down one layer, bro. There we go. Yeah, chill a bit. Just chill out a little bit. I'm not sure how I feel about having this guy loom over my shoulder for the entire podcast. You know, when I make these, I don't think about where they're going to be situated. Bob, should I leave? It looks like your dad's about to ground you. Yeah, I'll just go. This seems like something that I don't need to be a part of.
That's fair. It is going to be really awkward.
I played some video games since last week, but I don't know that any of them are especially important. Did we play anything people want to hear about last Friday? I don't
know if it's something they would remember.
It's really funny to be like, I dealt with the bad mechanics that weren't fun. I dealt with the fact that no part of playing it was enjoyable.
Uh-huh.
But 4 hours in, it's the plot of Remember Me that made me hate that studio and drop that game and never give another game of theirs a chance.
It is one of those things where I was watching you play it and I'm like, this is what this is? God, good God. However bad you think 7th Gen was, you don't actually know until you watch somebody play Remember Me and go, oh, right, this was considered like an 8 by journalists.
Right. So we're gonna spoil Remember Me, a game you should not play.
Under no circumstances. I don't care if they remaster it. Don't play it.
So I'm gonna hit the button anyways. But reminder, you should not play Remember Me. Okay? Hey, Aggro.
Hey, Dan.
Remember Me is a rated M game where you kill a lot of people. You wake up in the fetal position as a strong, empowered female protagonist, screaming in pain and horror, and then the entire rest of the game is you doing what a man told you to do, even though you slightly question it just because he told you to do it, so you do it. In this game, you drown a small district because they have more money than the rest of people. Then the tone of the game shifts entirely, and it becomes a discovery story about how the evil company that is brainwashing people via hacking their memories and turning them into a zombie army accidentally, but also selling them their memories into other people, commoditizing it, is in fact run by your family. So your dad's a genius inventor and your mom's the evil CEO. And all of the game's bad circumstances came out of you being in a car accident 20 years ago or something, and your mother hating you because you were like 8 years old in the back seat. If even, probably 6.
Right.
And you got her distracted and it caused a car accident. So your dad invented the ability to hack memories to make her forget it was your fault. Or wait, no, to make you forget it was your fault because somehow your mother still knew, but that seems to be the focal point of the invention of memory hacking in this game.
Okay, Dan, I'm just going to stop you right there because even we here at Netflix have a floor for how dumb a show will be for us to greenlight it.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking like there are a lot of stories that when you pull out all, like when you boil it down, get rid of all the symbols and everything, essentially boils down to you can't change the past, but you can change how you feel about the past.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Me doesn't seem to be about that. It seems to be trying to be about something like that and instead being a fucked up mess.
Yeah, and like there are a lot of tone shifts that make it all hard to even get what they meant by any of it. Because reminder, you flooded a district because they had too much money, and the sassy voice in your head that's sort of your brother, but not really, just hates them for having money because they forgot what pain was like. So you break a dam and flood that entire district of France. By the end, it's a young adult fiction thing in the worst way possible, where it's just like, my family's issues are the cause of the ills of the world, and I need to see eye to eye with my mother, which I will do by hacking her to forget that I was at fault for the car accident, even though I wasn't because I was 6!
Yeah, that car accident's way too funny in its depiction because they literally show you like playing with this toy and being really annoying in the back seat. And then when the car crash happens, your mom yells at you and says it's your fault immediately while she's realizing her leg is broken and it's your fault.
And now keep in mind, the way Bob's phrasing it makes it sound like she expresses that it's your fault, right? Like, oh, you shouldn't have blank. No, she literally goes repeatedly, this is your fault, as she's on the road bleeding from her wounds. So
you were
the
so
memory.
annoying, you made me merge without looking.
So she ran a red light, so it's even more like...
She ran a red light directly into a telephone pole. There wasn't even a car.
So the amazing part is when you hack her mind, your mother's mind, she then goes, it's my fault instead of your fault at the end.
Yes.
And then it's like, congratulations, you did it.
Everything's resolved. She's your friend now.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So your dad's the weird glorification of inventors in the Silicon Valley era when people were still like, Elon Musk and stuff are super cool, except for he's mildly misguided with his invention of memory hacking. Mildly misguided. He just wanted to have a family that was all together, and your mom wouldn't be the evil, fascist, horrible monster she is if she, could get over the fact a 6-year-old was loud in the backseat of a car. And not blame
Core
them for 15
conceit of the entire
years.
Horizon franchise. Is that you?
It really smacks me as the absolute worst part of Horizon, cranked to 17.
And she's just upset about the injury. We live in a future where she has a robot leg and she can walk fine.
Yeah, that was the weirdest part. Your mother got a replacement leg. It's a robotic leg. It works fine.
Yeah, it's so weird and random that's even a thing. But it had to be.
Doesn't seem to be very good at... I can stop there.
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't given Don't Nod a chance on any of their games since, because even by hour 4, it's deeply aggravating. Especially when you're sold this game as, this is an empowering story about ladies, unlike Bayonetta, which is bad to women. It was like, these contrasts are insane.
Absolute. The more 7th gen games I played, the more I'm like, oh, it was actually just all racism.
I mean, there's that, and also incels. It can be both. Like, it genuinely is shocking that they're like, well, this woman's sexy, so that makes she's an object now, so she's weak. Meanwhile, Remember Me Lady feels pain, which I don't know. What is the emotional reaction you're supposed to get out of watching a strong female protagonist just in the fetal position crying and screaming in pain as you're opening? And as I said in the stream, you know, you can open on that and like make that work in the long term, but no. No.
It does mildly go into that Tomb Raider reboot. Let's hurt her really badly too. Like, oh yeah, it's going to be a cool Uncharted segment where you're jumping around stuff, but then she falls horribly and breaks bones.
It's not as bad as Tomb Raider. Because
No,
like Laura fell into the blender.
Anyways, that's Remember Me.
So,
I wish I didn't.
On the like female protagonist gets knocked around angle.
Yeah.
The algorithm has been giving me Family Guy funny moments. And like every third one of them is just a jarring and sudden gore spot. And I'm like, wow, this is exactly like those Tomb Raider reboots.
Yeah, it's
where,
really
like,
weird.
she's just walking down the street and then like her leg breaks graphically and a car hits her.
Yeah, it's really weird. The first episode of the Clone High reboot is also like that for some reason. It's just like, what if the humor was that it was incredibly graphic violence? And I'm like, what? You did that for one episode at the end of the first season, which was to contrast that it was a holiday episode. Why are you doing this?
Right, now it's just here in a regular episode.
Right. Now it's like, wouldn't it be funny if he had to walk away dragging the bear trap his foot was stuck in and it's bleeding the whole way? And I'm like, no, it just seems kind of weird and distracting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like Don't Nod. Bob said some positive things about that climbing game. I'm still never going to give it a chance.
Yeah, no, all the story stuff in that was worrying, but it seemed like it was controlled fine and was kind of had neat art style and stuff.
Yeah, no, it looks nice.
Yeah, like I intend to pick it up if it ever drops down to like half price. But you know, with the digital games, that barely ever happens.
I mean,
It happens with some.
I see digital games drop pretty low in price. Sometimes they even show up on PlayStation Plus.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah. I kind of hit the same, like, it's weird. Don't Nod had a one and done with me. Ninja Theory had more than a one before they were done with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. I didn't play Enslaved. Maybe it's fine. DMC, the DMC is not a good Devil May Cry game, but maybe it's not the worst that I see it. And I'm like, well, Hellblade is a different sort of thing. Oh, it's going to cure mental illness. Okay, this is a bit of a red flag. And then Hellblade 2 is like, I'm a sequel to The Cure for Mental Illness. And I'm like, I can't even express to you how upsetting that is.
Isn't it fucked up how like Don't Nod is like so clearly power scaled below Ninja Theory?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because Don't Nod's like a weird fusion of Ninja Theory and David Cage. Like, in fact, Quantic Dream did help on Remember Me, which is really weird.
It is stupid in a lot of ways you expect from a David Cage game.
Oh, yeah, of course. We just talked about the plot at length, and that is so absolutely something that would show up in a David Cage game.
Yeah, it also felt like there was some other game that was shoved in there too, because there's the whole like robot society maybe being important, and you even have several robot enemies, and it feels like they never even touch on that.
Oh yeah, just for some world building stuff. At least half of the enemies you fight in this game are giant autonomous robot sort of dudes. There's a scene very early on where you're supposed to feel bad for the robots and how shittily they're treated by the humans. And that's what leads to you drowning that district in Neo Paris. And then that goes nowhere. That's the last you hear of that. That's less than 3 hours in, I think.
Uh-huh.
It was like 2, maybe.
Yeah.
And we're just not going to talk about that. You thought that would be a core part, right? Of like the world setting and everything else. Like what we're establishing, how horrible this future is and how detached and impersonal it is, but no, they had nothing to do with that. It's all memory hacking.
Yeah, no, they even have a bunch of places throughout the game where you're just walking through an environment and you see like robots trying to live a normal life. Like some of them are laying down trying to sleep in a bed and other stuff like that. And it's like, oh no, they're trying to humanize these a little bit. Shoot, like the environmental storytelling, but that is not in this game at all. Like,
No,
that's not in the actual story of the game.
The game did that because what's the future like? And they have that, but they have nothing to say about that. And it almost seems like it's not even there because they have literally nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
If they didn't have a whole set piece that was us drowning the rich part of Neo Paris, I bet that cutscene disappears, and now it's just a completely weird part of this game that's not set up at any point. Like, oh, are they people too? Are they completely sentient? What's going on with them? Oh, well, we didn't have any cutscenes to depict any of this. Remember Me also has, and this has redefined my understanding of video games, absolutely. It has the weirdest idea for challenge I've ever seen. There is an enemy type in this melee action game where it hurts you if you hit them. So the way you counter that is to make your combos heal you per hit, because you have different hit types you can slot into your pre-made combos, of which there are 4. Is that right?
Something like that. It's a real low number.
And you just get different squares and triangles to stick into this thing. And you have to make this combo heal you per hit. Otherwise, you cannot kill that enemy unless you die, or you will die.
It's not you hit them and you bounce off and take damage. No, you just have to turn on heal mode to punch through the damage.
Yeah. And you're
Lords
trading
of
even.
Shadow, is that you?
This felt worse than Lords of Shadow. This felt worse than the heal type enemy. This felt worse than the invincible shield type support enemy. This honestly is a new low for me.
Yeah, no, it is like, man, not even Ninja Theory would do this. This is that stupid. Like other games will be like, yeah, they're immune to this weapon type, or you need to use this one weapon type on them. This is the only game was like, you better readjust your entire combos so you can actually even hurt them without killing them yourself.
Right, without killing yourself, yeah. There are also other systems in place about like these enemy types being here, and they're not even specific enemy types. These enemies being here will make this dude invincible. Just like the invincibility shield type I was just talking about. So you got to kill these 3 in order to hurt him at all. So by the end of the game, it's absolutely miserable, as it's riddled with all of this in every encounter all in a row.
Yeah, and then they introduced the mechanic that is, you can't punch robots at all. You have to use other alternative ways of hitting them. And all of those are completely unfleshed out and bad feeling.
Right, because it's a third-person shooter thing, but you can't really aim like a third-person shooter in this game. It has a lock-on that you have to use that is not good. It's really bad. Remember Me, you shouldn't, so don't. I'm done talking about it.
That's fair. There's nothing else to say. Like, game sucks.
I have just been binging stuff for Game of the Year.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, and am I going to talk about any of it? I'm not going to talk about any of it. Nope. Hey, Bob, did you have anything you played that you wanted to talk about?
Sure.
Okay.
I also tried out Evil West. Chris was right. This is bizarrely just a God of War 2018 knockoff.
Yeah, like the moment you get a chest and he punches his hand down into it with almost the exact same animation.
Yeah, there's that. There's the whole first level. You don't even get the like third-person shooting weapon. You don't get that to like level 2, and the gun you do have is like an auto aim thing. That's just it really wants to be like the Ebony and Ivy from DMC, because you can knock guys in air and then rapid tap it to keep them in air. But it feels miserable. There's an insane amount of motion blur on everything. It's hard to even see the game through it. There's so many. Just obviously, this game is a little rough. How long
did you check the settings? I think it maybe has ability to turn the motion blur off, because I didn't recall egregious motion blur.
I checked the settings. I couldn't find anything to get rid of it.
It might have been one of those ones. It's like, well, are you on the title screen?
I feel like I checked both, because even when you change like from regular mode to performance mode, it's like you need to reset the game. And that means
that means fully close it. Like,
yeah, fully close
the game.
it.
Gee, yeah. I wonder if this studio mainly makes PC games.
How many stages do you play through, Chris?
The first 3.
Okay, I think that's about where I stopped too, because that's you got to the mansion that is the headquarters of the REI, I think is their name.
Yes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also I got through that and then started the next level. I was like, oh man, this is rough. So it has that thing like Doom Eternal does, where once you get the enemies down to super low health, you can do a finishing move on them and you get some health back. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the indicator for that is this exact same indicator that they have for the enemy doing a unblockable hit.
Why? Why would you make that the same indicator? Those are completely opposite responses from the player.
Yes, they are. So they flash white when they're ready to be instant killed, or also if they're doing their attack, you cannot stop.
I do. Okay, Dan, how do you think you deal with an enemy doing an unblockable hit?
I mean, most video games have you dodge, right?
But you have a special option in this game that's been countered. What do you think that takes the form of?
Leaning in and hoping it ends quickly.
A parry? Is it a parry?
No,
it's
you basically just kick them in the groin.
Yes.
Like you have this short little stubby kick that lunges you forward a little bit. So you just step forward and go, huh, and kick them, and that knocks them out of their big attack.
Tell me Bloodborne would not be significantly improved if you replaced the gun with that.
So bad. They also mapped to the worst button they could have.
Okay.
Yes.
L1.
R3.
God damn it.
I was going to say L3.
Yeah. L3 or
Honestly,
R3 is the only one where it's like, no, never. Why?
At this point, I almost think the platform holders should just stop making those buttons.
They need to be removed from like the eligibility. But I mean, L3 is great for the run button,
and R3 can be good for certain games when you want to melee or sometimes lock on a thing, depending on the style of game you're playing.
Right? It's only when you make a decision this boneheaded that I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you doing, bro? What are you doing?
Also, those finishing moves you do are some of the weakest I've seen in a game ever.
Yeah, they're not very good.
It's like I told ChatGPT to make a Doom Eternal.
Yeah, it's like imagine he lifts up the
animation.
guy and then kind of lazily hits him into the ground till he explodes in blood for no reason.
That sounds hilarious. I don't know what you're talking about. Does it make like a Curlin Nescar sound?
Sure.
Or
Then it would loop around and be incredible.
or like a comical Hanna-Barbera cartoon pie splat sound.
Oh yeah. Also, the dude's just constantly like mumbling to himself because he doesn't have a guy on the radio,
Right.
or anyone to talk to in the field. So he's just like, I don't even know what he's saying half the time.
Kind of immersive in a sense. Like, yeah, I guess that's what it would be like to be around the main character of Evil West.
Right.
You just listen. He's next to you the whole time. He's not talking to you. He's just mumbling, and you're like, I have no idea what the fuck you're saying, dude.
Something about vampires. I don't know what though. I think he's upset. That might be a slur.
I think it's. I think he's upset. I think that was a slur. I'm just gonna try to remain
Yeah, they have
motionless.
like a slur, like a word for the villain group, like a derogatory term. I didn't really pay enough attention to understand what it meant, but it's ticks.
Well,
They
I
call
took
them
it
ticks.
right. They're bloodsuckers, so that's why.
Oh, I guess I was like, are they
okay? Because they're vampires,
occultic?
right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
But that's all I really have to say about Evil West.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Did you play anything else you wanted to talk about?
I did. I also played some Need for Speed Unbound, which is the newest Need for Speed game. It came out end of last year and was on sale a few weeks ago for $5.
Oh, geez. I knew that didn't do great, but Jesus.
Right?
Hey, you know what might help that do great? If you gave us a heads up on it coming out, showed it at any major convention,
Yeah.
put your back into it ever.
No.
What is with these? We gotta talk about this. What's with these giant publishers? And every single time they like screw over a genre or a franchise, and then they go, "Well, that doesn't perform well." It's like, dude, yeah,
Yeah, I feel like they even released it in December or something. I remember being super late and like, what are you doing?
It wasn't that late. It was just got no marketing and was pounded by everything else.
Right.
It's just fucking insane.
Yeah.
Why does this keep... It feels like this has happened more than once to Need for Speed.
It does. Yeah, it absolutely has. The one before Heat also got this exact treatment. I can't remember what that one's name was. Maybe Payback? Something like that. But it also got this, like, we launched it and didn't tell anybody.
You guys excited for the theme month Need for Streams?
Like, they told people so little about it. I didn't know. This game is an open world game, like the other ones had been. Which I didn't even know that.
Right. No, they didn't communicate that. I just figured that out by watching a little bit of gameplay once.
Yeah, it seems all right. It has the cartoon aesthetic for the main characters, and then the cars are still super realistic,
Which is a little weird, yeah.
it's a little weird. They try and like fancy it up by having a lot of other like street art and stuff appear around your car for speed lines and things.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat looking. But it never, like, when you see the anime dude inside your inside your car, it never quite looks right. I was able to make Takumi from Initial D my main character.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And by
That's
that,
important.
I mean, they literally had him, but with a beard. So I just took the beard off and changed his hair color slightly. And I was like, that's him.
Okay, I'm going to cover something real quick. You said it was last year.
Yeah.
That was 2022.
Sorry. We're barely into 2024.
We're a whole month in.
No, it's fair. And you're allowed to missign your checks until February.
A lot of people who aren't up on Need for Speed, probably because of what you just said, thought the game dropped from $70 to $5 in a single month. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, it feels a lot better than Heat did. I remember playing Heat and being like, this is terrible. I don't know how they made a racing game feel this bad. And this feels like back up to snuff, back up to what I kind of expect from a Need for Speed game where it's controlled pretty tightly. It has this huge open world, but it seems like there's nothing to do. I don't know if I'm just too early in the game. They don't have any, like, there's one mission on the map.
I hate games that do that. It's like there's nothing until you do so many of that type mission type, and then we'll unlock, like, things to do.
Right?
And I'm like, oh, cool, I'm bored for now? That's awesome. What a smart idea.
Yeah, I played for over an hour, and it's like, guys, let the leash off. I want to play the game. I don't want to go do your single events you have unlocked at a time, and then go back to my garage and have a cutscene that's kind of bad. And then the latest story thing that's going right now is you always have a co-pilot like with you in the car, and so they can usually banter back and forth. But now it's become about this co-pilot like being upset about her job and it being really, really petty, like average workplace stuff. Like, oh man, my boss made me do this and I didn't do it right, so now I'm upset. And it's just all this petty, like, I don't care sort of level of stuff.
I don't know. That sounds like a great way for me to relive my youth sitting in a car as my mother grouses about her coworkers for an entire drive.
Yeah, that's how it feels. I'm hoping it turns around. I might play some more of it because, like I said, it feels pretty nice. It makes me wish it were a Burnout game, though, like all of these Criterion ones have. Yeah. Because there's not that big focus on causing crashes, but you still get the bonuses for doing, like, you're building up your boost meter by running headlong traffic and doing near misses and all that sort of stuff.
But there's no, like, takedown sort of things where you bump the side of a car and then they ram into a thing and you get points?
No, it doesn't feel like that's there at all. You have the takedown cam for when you crash up.
I guess that makes sense.
But it didn't feel like they really did it for anyone else, and it didn't encourage me causing accidents. And in fact, my co-pilot's often like, "Oh, you're driving crazy." It's like that's
when you crash the car and you go, "It's your fault!"
Right? I'm like, I don't want to hear this.
You wouldn't shut up about your job, and that caused the car accident. So that was $5.
Yeah.
Did you get that money back feeling for $5?
I think so. I really wanted to know what this was, so it did that. I've only also have not been getting more than one car. Like I still just have the car it started me, which seems really weird.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's starting really slow, like in a bizarre way.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah. I also finished Momodora Moonlit for Wrath.
Moonlit Farewell.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That game's really easy. Like, unnaturally so. Have you ever played a Metroidvania where there's no consequence for dying? Like, if you die, you go back to the save point, keep all the items you found in the memory or in the map unlocks.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. You also don't lose any of the currency or anything. Like,
Yeah,
that's weird.
there's no penalty for dying whatsoever.
That's
Did you
really
like
bizarre.
how you're like, okay, it's the very, very, very end of this game. Time for paragraphs of exposition explaining the story of this game that still doesn't entirely make sense.
I felt like that happened more in the middle of the game than the end of it, honestly. But there was like an hour of me wandering around lost between that and the end. But yeah, the whole game feels wordier than it kind of needed to be. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, they shouldn't have made it this easy. I'm gonna try the hard mode eventually. And I'll give them a few months and see if they make a game just run better and have the VSync issues resolved before I go back and do that. But
Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah, it's a Unity game with 2D. Watch out. They added a devil trigger like system where you turn it on and you can literally like get better jumps, which is kind of fun. But yeah, it burns your stamina, and then you do stronger hits and have different combos, and then you also get better traversal mechanics.
Yeah, I died in the final boss because of that. Because the final boss's first phase is on a platform,
Oh yeah,
and the combo took me off the platform, and you die instantly. It's the one act point where the game is not forgiving. If you step off that platform, you die.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't set that off that, but I worried it would do that. But that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't think it'd just fully kill you. Yeah, she also steps forward way too far during combos in general. Like, that's kind of... It feels kind of ridiculous how far forward you move as you attack. But it's still got really great art. I don't like it as much as the last one, but I guess I need to go back and try that one again to double check myself. And that's everything I played this week. Other than booting up some of the old games to solidify my top 10 list. Like,
We're recording that after this. That's why we're live this early. Hey, Chris, what you been playing?
Octopath Traveler 2. Here, let me
Chug,
explain
chug,
my
chug,
mental
chug.
illness. Here, let me explain my mental illness. I have completed half of the character's second chapters.
yeah.
What do you think the average level of my party is?
I think you threatened to make it 65 before you started.
Right?
It's 63.
Yeah!
You are a monster. I mean, even though that kind of would have happened in the back half of the game anyway.
You're a fucking winner.
Look, when I go, okay, chapter 2 wants you to be level 18, and then I do that and go, chapter 3 wants me to be level 36. Why don't I just do it all at once?
Yeah, I mean, if you do it all at once, you can just go through the one character's entire story, and
Which is cool.
not
Yeah.
jump between them. Which yeah,
So you know, I feel really bad for Mugen, Hikari's evil brother.
Oh God,
'Cause-
yeah.
Because when Hikari shows up, he's gonna be a level 70, have all the arms master skills, and be radiating energy while carrying 6 divine weapons.
Right? It's like, you're alive, bitch. I'm chosen by God. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
yeah. I
when
also did
I-
his last, so yeah, we're almost level 80, and just
When I
completely smash him.
When I finally do Oswald's story, Oswald's just gonna show up to that guy I don't know who's his villain, like Dr. Manhattan.
I'm still upset Harvey was real.
Should I have hit the spoiler sound for that?
No, I don't think
No.
it counts when it's
Okay.
in the first second.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's just a thing me and Bob had concocted together.
right, because the way he's introduced is like, that cannot be real. Your house is burning down, your family inside it, and he walks out of the flames while the cops are there. And he's like, ha ha ha, I did this to you. You are doomed.
This is
I have
my
ruined your
fault."
life. And then he gets away scot-free. It's like, okay, but
But he's not real.
Yeah,
right?
he's a figment of Oswald's imagination, and he's a crazy person. Oh no, he's real.
Damn it.
It is really funny how they show, and I'm sure it'll turn out to be a kangaroo court or something in his story. It opens with him being sentenced for killing his family, and the trial is like, nobody else in the entire world can use fire magic, so you must have set your own house on fire and kill your family.
All right.
But yeah, I've just been going around and eating all of the eggs on this map. The moment I kind of fell for the game was when I bought the ship, and then it popped up to say, you had this guy with Particio, and that applies to this purchase also. You saved $30,000.
Yup.
Yeah.
It's really, Octopath Traveler 2 is not exactly what I would want out of a JRPG, because the story is kind of thin, the stuff I've seen. Like Particio's stupid fucking story.
I also didn't like Particio's story at the beginning, but I feel like it does ramp up well.
But it really is like the super version of like Final Fantasy 1, where there's all these insane things hidden all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fun from that angle. Hopefully I will beat it over the next couple days so I can move on to the Prince of Persia. Because, man, somebody needs to talk about that game. I feel like nobody has. I'm kind of worried about how it did, because I think that was the only chance Ubisoft had to course correct.
I heard a lot of positivity about that new Prince of Persia.
I heard it reviewed pretty good, but like seeing humans speak of it, I haven't really.
They've been a little distracted over the last week.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a good chunk of stuff right around release, and they even they released it one of those apology posts, but it was them being like really grateful for the community that they fostered and how well it sold. So I'm guessing it did okay.
Hopefully.
They
But
can't have had that big of expectations for it, right?
Hopefully not. But yeah, literally all I played was Octopath. I had a spoon and a fork, and I just stuck my mouth down on the ground and just walked around shoveling anything that came near me into my mouth. It is really fucked up how you can get information on random NPCs in that game with some of the skills. And it tells you fucked up things sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like this woman's gonna leave her husband because he just sleeps all day, and then you get information from him, and he's like, he sleeps all day because he's out at night stealing things to pay for their child's education.
Yup.
Yeah, there's lots of neat little touches. Honestly, the writing's better in the random NPC interrogations you do than maybe the rest of the game.
World building and narrative crafting are two very different
right
things.
Mm-hmm.
Here's like the most fucked up thing. Once you buy the ship, there's a couple exclusive areas you can only get to with the ship. One of them is a lighthouse, and the only real purpose of that lighthouse is for you to get an item for a side quest. But on the island, there's two NPCs. There's the lighthouse keeper and his wife. You can't recruit the lighthouse keeper's wife with any of the abilities that let you recruit people. They let you just take NPCs along. Because she's like, oh no, we have to stay here and tend the lighthouse. You can take the husband, though. You can take the actual lighthouse keeper. He's not as dedicated. So I just thought that was very funny. But literally just Octopath. Nothing but Octopath.
Aggro,
Yes, sir.
what have you been playing?
I've mostly just been turning on games that I've played this year, sitting with the music, remembering the vibe, staring at a hunting knife, trying to figure out who's not making the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me. I booted up to the Regalia. It had to lead my save, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And I just sat there for an hour reading every ability.
Yeah. It's that game.
Yeah.
My highest priority post game of the year is to edit the Unreal Engine VR injection mod to see it actually work, because people say it's really cool. It actually works on that game, which is surprising as hell.
Mm-hmm.
That game was already peak aesthetic for me. Now in VR, Good Lord. Yeah, I guess I'll talk a little bit about what I've been goatee cramming just for a bit. So, as was on the first wave of Donathon goals and has now been done, there was a Chill Vibes Puzzling Places stream where Tosh and I put together some VR jigsaw puzzles with immaculate vibes for the stream, and Agro's like, this is great. I love watching Tosh solve these. I put the headset on and he's like, you are driving me and I fucking hate you.
My brother in Christ, you and I have completely differently constructed brains. We do not look at puzzles the same way.
I know. It was really funny because I saw this coming from a fucking mile away when he was like, this is great. I love watching Tosh solve these. And I'm like, I know what's going to happen. For anyone who hasn't seen it, that stream's going to be up on the VOD archive soon. Puzzling Places are really great in a way that is completely unexpected for me. Just because I was never really big into jigsaw puzzles themselves. Mm-hmm. It really does change it when you use the photogrammetry to make it a full 3D object with hyper-realistic textures and lighting, and they have effects and soundscapes and things that are really, really cool. Because I bought some DLC, a lot of DLC, but not a ton of DLC, nowhere near enough. But I bought some DLC, and one of them was like a dinner with Dracula. So you build out this entire dining room, and Dracula's in the middle. Lightning will strike, and the shadow it casts for Dracula on the wall is the classic him leaning in to eat the guest, and it's pretty cool. When I first tried Puzzling Places at the beginning of last year, or the middle, I think I waited a little bit on that one past the launch. The notion that I had heard a few times of VR is like a really good way to do tourism, like go check out a place you had never been to. Like that just sounded like dumb bullshit. Like, why would I want to do that? Trying Puzzling Places, I was like, no, like this is already giving me that experience, because they'll do like a church from certain countries, an old haunted house from Russia, all these other things, and it's just really cool getting to see these different places and it just getting to analyze them in such detail. It's really, really immaculate as a game, and in a genre I've never ever engaged with in any format before. Like the only thing close to it I can think of is, have you seen 3D jigsaws? Those exist.
Huh.
Yeah, where it's just the pieces go up and you build it in 3 dimensions.
Huh.
But of course that's nowhere near the same. That's hokey and weird.
When are we getting the VR Gunpla?
I was telling Chad about your idea, like how you and I had talked about, like they need to do it for video game models and video game locations.
Yes.
Like absolutely, you could do that for so many games you can't properly ship a game for anymore, like Mass Effect or Mega Man stuff. You could do so many things, and that would be neat. And maybe they see that as beneath this game, because this game, its experience and stuff is very zen. Maybe that's a bit too Gunpla, a bit too that sort of thing. It could be its own standalone game. Like it legitimately would do bank.
Yeah,
like
absolutely,
100%. It would basically become its own rock band at that point, as they have to license, properties and things in order to make their own DLC, and
just staple an entire gacha system on the back and tell people they can build their waifus.
My God. Oh, that's a shame. You didn't get the gold SSR version or whatever the fuck. I don't know gacha terms. But yeah, I did some Puzzling Places. I also did Walkabout Mini Golf VR, a game that I had spent a few months not playing. Hey, Aggro.
Hey, Dan.
That game's really good.
It really is.
I'm very excited for our upcoming stream where we do Walkabout Mini Golf VR with Giga Friends, because for people who don't know about Walkabout Mini Golf, the experience of being in these golf courses is great, because it is the thing you constantly wish for, of like mini golf and putt-putt, really great. But what if you could make it more video gamey? So you do that, you have the immersion of the VR, and then on top of that, these environments get to be stuff like the island from Myst, or an absolutely amazing like Celtic mountainscape. It's fantastic. And the weird thing is, like, it's not just the golfing that is the fun part, which it is the fun part until Aggro misses a tiny putt and starts screaming in his house.
It's true. He's right to say it.
There's also, like, when you do the easy mode of a course, there are just golf balls hidden in the environment that you need to do, like, an Easter egg hunt for. Like, there's one per hole. But when you do the hard mode, they actually have a much more involved story and unlocked path for you to discover what the events were and all this other things. It's like a legitimate quest for you to discover the story of, like, say, the Pirate Island, where you need to figure out how everyone died. And so there are these messages in a bottle and all this stuff. And it's really cool that they built this out, because not only is this a perfectly sufficient and very fun mini golf experience in VR, it is also this funny other thing that is really enjoyable to do on its own. It is the only fusion mini golf / Easter egg hunt video game I think ever made, and it's a really brilliant combination given the space it's in. And let me tell you, it would go down quite a few points if I couldn't point my golf club upward, hold the stick up, and start flying around like a fucked up Mary Poppins. Because at that point, you can clip through geometry and you could go anywhere you point your golf club. And that is... more VR games need to just let go and be like, yeah, whatever. Just fly 500 feet in the air. I don't care.
Like, you've got these beautiful boxy vistas that are designed to be viewed from where you can walk. And the moment you start flying, you can just get inside and around and behind shit. And they're like, yeah, no, we're not crazy. We're not building 200 miles of bullshit so you don't break your immersion.
Right. They didn't, like, model the rock underneath the river flowing through the mountain. It's like, no, you went under the water. There's nothing down there. It's really good. I enjoy that game immensely. Aside from that, I'm trying to think of other things, because there were a lot of VR games that I went in and checked again. Which, of course, you'll hear more about that on Top 10. But, and there were other games too, but I think that's going to do it. Aggro, did you want to talk about anything you touched on before we move on?
I did, despite my grim prophecy to the contrary, actually remember to sign up for Honkai Star Rail on things other than PlayStation. After 30 days elapsed, I was able to use my email because their system is very well designed.
I'm glad for you, or sorry that happened.
It sure does run on my phone.
Wow. Crazy.
How do they do it?
Since it's turn-based, that actually seems better for the phone than I would.
Yeah, I would definitely rather play that than like
Genshin. Yeah.
Genshin already feels kind of... Genshin, in terms of game feel, already sort of feels like you're using virtual buttons to control it somehow, even with a controller. So I can't imagine how it feels when you're actually using virtual buttons.
Since Honkai is basically an enormous series of nested checklists that has a graphical interface put over it, the ability to immediately turn it off and then pick it up on a different screen is not something the human brain was designed to cope with in a practical sense. There is no biologically inborn defense against it. What I'm saying is, go on without me. Remember me as I was. Well, no, probably tell people I was better than how you remember me. That's
what you want.
We don't. Yeah, like not just for me, but for them. It's kind of depressing if you were to accurately recount how I was as a person. Maybe punch it up a little in post.
How many feet tall? 8. He was 8 feet tall. He had so many charities. He ran them all very clean. And was, the impact Aggro had on the world's unspeakably huge. I will now stop saying any of it because there's so much more. Podlets.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck. All of my charities.
Podlord? Podlords!
Oh, Podlord.
Podlord! Yes, that's right. It's the Podlords. Podlords such as BN12, E. Lee Broyles, Bountiful Blessings to You All, Red Blaze 27, Suzu Shiro, Rado, 101 Shades of Thanks to Bob for nominating the Wonderful One DLC for Biggest Disappointment. It really is that bad.
Why did they make it?
I don't know! That couldn't have helped them in any metric humanly measurable.
None.
WTF, Spider-Man. Mr. I like spam. Oh, jeez. I forgot to come up with a bit for this week. Blundering bountings to you all.
Good Lord.
DFW 3K. Muckbun. Shiny Mew. Kristen. An abstract, modern kind of juice of frost. Kyle Bjork. Enjoy Bug. I won't.
No.
No. Ugh. Cooper Tank. Just the store you've been shopping for here at Best Buy. Wow. The savings must be immense.
Something came out while we started this show, so that's gonna be every store pretty soon.
Oh my god. Ochi is done asking play Pikmin 4. I did, Ochi! Let me live!
He wants all of us to do it. and he's
Leave
just not
me
angry.
alone!
It's a first-party Nintendo game. I don't want to spend $60.
Indigo Sykes. I don't know who created Pal World, but I want to figure out how to get them to take a Pal World to the polls.
That is about the level that Joe Brandon's campaign is operating on at the moment.
I appreciate that this is what he says after he takes the Mortal Kombat versus DC piss.
Yes.
Dondori issues. I'm sorry, GIFs do not embed. Somebody put that horrible steamrolling extra-dimensional monster from Pikmin into Mario Kart.
That's what that is.
It is horrible. That thing came back and I'm like, you again? A bunch of raccoons trying to get into your house.
Well, that's not good.
There's nothing in there for them.
Burly brawl music plays.
Neo hitting a raccoon with a steel pipe is pretty good.
Looney Tunes CG flies away. Oh, are they all wearing business suits
Of
like
course.
Agent Smith?
I did just the image, like the explosion of raccoons, would be really good.
That would be so great. Shinji 16 and would like to remind you that you matter, you are valid, and you deserve to be happy. AG's Magic the Gathering lore? Got lost running from battle, met Cyclops aggro, and ratatouille'd him to battle against the metal necromorphs.
That's a series of words that almost makes a cogent sentence.
Yeah, I
Almost.
remember when that happened.
The Super Mim. The Hard M is going to be busy, and we'll see you all in 168 hours.
Oh my god. They told me not to do it all at once. I know that we don't listen to that, but you should.
Yeah, don't do this. Sarlene. Square Enix boldly revealed Scrimblow of the Year 2024, one day after Scrimblow 23 was decided. Visions of Mana expected to sweep GOTY 2024.
I mean, there's probably going to be more than one Scrimbler from that one game. that
That's
will be in
true.
the
Yeah,
top
that's
10.
true. I mean, the Rabbites are going to be there,
Uh-huh.
right? It's hard to get more Scrimblow core down to the cinder block drop than a Rabbite.
I mean, that game's about killing them.
It's true. You probably get a weapon that is a cinder block you drop on their head.
So indie devs, if you want a free, your game will be the meme game. You'll get all. Make a VR game that's just about beating the shit out of Scrimblows.
That'd do it. Yeah. The face of purest evil.
Good Lord.
It's the face of purest evil. Is that not clear?
I'm like, is that one of my sketches or is it a Power World?
This is as Bob remembers Zatu, right?
I'm like, it either wants to sell me cereal or teach me a foreign language, and I'm not sure which.
Birds, dude, it's true that birds don't have souls. So
Pleochrome, Krungle Spum, chairman of video games family, Dan Video Games, ready to throw down on a certain retro island just in time for Yakuza 8.
I don't even remember the mask. That must have just been Halloween, the past Halloween, but I don't remember it at all.
I only pulled it out on stream for 2 minutes once, and apparently you got screen caps.
I guess, yeah.
That is for our Bleach month when we finally finish chugging Bleach and we get to play all the Bleach games.
Hopefully there'll be a new one by then.
Hopefully.
Yippee! And it'll even have our boy.
I don't know about that. I think that's a little bit unlikely.
Yeah, if they do a new Bleach game, I don't feel like Jinkari is making the cut. Maybe after two seasons of DLC.
Oh man, imagine if Jinkari gets the Broly treatment, like he's made canon and redone.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible.
Yeah!
Except he's 2 women now.
Bleach Super? I'm just about, and life is a nightmare. I'm just about, I know that it's not fair.
Oh my god.
That's pretty good. Not quite as good as the one that was Linkin Park's in the end.
I can't wait any longer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so I'm going to freeze myself. Butters, you are to unfreeze me 1 month from now.
Hey, did you know that joke was about the Wii?
Yup.
Casti and Ochette have the same dub actress as Makima and Power, but not in the order you would expect.
Holy shit.
This guy hallucinates getting cucked and is literally the biggest cuck, and he still gets cucked out of Game of the Year's biggest cuck!
Well, see, the problem is he's merely the largest cuck.
Yes. Look, if we go by pure weight, there is not a 3-hour-long cutscene about him being a cuck. There is a 3-hour-long cutscene about In being a cuck.
Yeah, see, it works like territories, right? And that's his realm. That's Ed's realm, and you just can't move when he's in court. Why did I get the flu immediately after making that Podlord name? Arthur Pendragon. Out of Bleach gags, so I'm just gonna have you read Yu-Gi-Oh card names: Majestic, Red Dragon, and I stubbed my toe on the door frame. Thank you very much to our Podlords.
Thank you, Podlords.
Thank you, Podlords.
Thank you, Podlords.
And if you'd like to become a Podlord, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gbpodcast. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to many benefits, such as early access to Chugging, Bleach, and Pokemon Go to the Movies, our 2 monthly anime review podcasts. You also get extended content and bits and bobs from other shows when indeed such content exists for you to be given. You also fund a monthly show, either a private show about us watching a good thing that you vote on and then we watch and talk about it. This is Jackie Chanuary, so you get to vote between 4 Jackie Chan movies and we have to watch one and talk about them. Or realistically, we'll watch all of them and then talk about the specific one that won.
That is way more realistic to what's gonna happen.
And on other months, alternating months, so the next month, you'll just fund a show where we watch a horrible thing, and patrons get an exclusive commentary track for that horrible thing. That's pretty good. And there's lots and lots of commentary tracks already available for horrible things you don't want to watch, such as X-Men Origins Wolverine, Remember Me, the movie that's secretly about 9/11, and more. That's patreon.com/GB podcast. And it always helps immensely to tell your friends, rate us on Thursdays, rate with a T on your podcast app of choice, and leave a comment, and subscribe on YouTube if you listen that way, especially subscribe. That one's important. Patreon.com/GB podcast.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
I have a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Listener, this is not a plan. It is just a name I thought of. Oh, no. Bob.
Yeah.
Michelle Yovember.
It kind of works. It kind of works.
We got news! Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't exactly have good news.
But we've got news. We don't even have a ton of news, but we got news.
We do.
Don't you feel lucky? Are you not appreciative?
Every bit of news that I all of Bob's first. We have to buffer the nightmares. There's going to be nothing but nightmares for apparently the next 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure, I'll go.
Cool.
That Integrates game that was announced last year, Umbra Claw, where he plays a little cat that's undead or something.
Yeah.
That's coming out May 30th. It's going to be on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC.
Cool.
So it's basically everything.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that's neat. What more you want?
I thought you were going to say, what could possibly go wrong?
What
You're
could
shifting into Bubsy mode.
What could possibly go wrong? We also got an announcement of DLC characters for Under Night Embers 2 Cells.
Bob, you can't say that. Elon Musk said that was a slur.
Oh, no. It's okay. Y and it's SYS. It's different.
Oh, okay.
You don't need to worry about it.
So wait, I fired my sysadmin for no reason?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
no. But yeah, you apparently get the season pass for this game for free as long as you buy before March 31st. And that includes 3 characters. They come out over the course of the final one comes out August 25th or August 2025. So not this year, but next August. So
oh yeah, it looks like they're only releasing one in calendar year
2024, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in August.
Yeah. This seems insane.
If they're free, I guess that makes sense.
They're only free for the first few months, though. And they only announced this week. They were charging for this thing until then. That you have to buy the deluxe edition. Yeah, it's a little weird.
But these characters, I don't know shit about Under Night, but they look cool.
Yeah, they look cool.
Yeah.
Under Night is like, okay, you have like, imagine if the guy behind Blaze Blue, instead of watching popular anime and just putting characters from that into Blaze Blue, they mostly played visual novels and just put characters from those into Blaze Blue.
Yeah, that checks out.
Or in other words, they watched unpopular anime.
For the record, I've played Under Night a decent chunk. I still wouldn't ever say, oh yeah, I know all about Under Night Embers. Like, that would be fucking ignorant. But apparently that's this DLC season pass is free if you buy it before March 31st.
Yes.
That is a fucking fiscal year ending ass fucking incentive. What the hell?
Yeah, it is. I'm going to see if it goes on sale sometime between now and then. Because, oh man, they sure did launch between Grand Blue Fantasy Rising Versus and Tekken 8. Like, what are you doing? Because this game came out yesterday. Or maybe 2 days ago. It was really recently.
Also relevant, and I was going to cover this later, is, Toho Luna Nights finally just today came out on PlayStation after all these years.
Yeah, you just had to... It's just perfect time,
Yeah, I don't have anything going on.
No.
I mean, technically, GOTY, as a recording process, ends today, so I'm no longer, it's now moot to cram any 2023 games down my throat.
It's true.
There's no impetus anymore.
No.
I was planning on becoming a almost Tibetan monk-like figure and going off to the mountains to only play N64 games and disassociate for like a week, but I guess I could play Toho Ludonites.
And then the last thing I got, there are rumors going around of a PlayStation event that's going to be sometime in the next 15 days.
No, I'm Twitter guy who needs to make his entire thing being like, you heard a leak about a thing that's predictable like clockwork? No.
I have these things that'll probably be there.
Go ahead and say it. I'm getting ready to quote tweet.
The DS2's full title is actually going to be Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
I don't know. Is the fucking cover gonna be like Norman Reedus in a Speedo on a towel?
It's gonna
like the
look
sunset behind him.
I hope
It's gonna be like our thumbnail for the podcast. What in the world? Okay, cool.
And
sure.
That was a Neil Young album, I think, and I could easily see Kojima just being, yeah, I just took it.
Yeah,
It's just a great name.
it is. It works.
It just works.
And then the other thing is a new release of Until Dawn for PS5 and PC.
Okay,
That
one.
makes sense. They're doing a movie.
One, cool. Two, you motherfuckers charged $60 for that or $70. You're gonna look bad.
Yeah, this
They're
better
gonna
be
charge $70. They're gonna charge $70. They'll probably have an upgrade path if you already own it. But the point is to put a PS5 box in stores that people will buy for $70.
even
Like
if it
that's
should
why
be
it exists.
right. Even if it should be 40 at most,
Right.
because they shouldn't be doing a graphical upgrade.
Yeah, I feel like if it like this had like something like Until Dawn has the highest chance of being a really egregious case of we updated and fucked every single thing up about how it looks. Like it just looks entirely wrong now.
Maybe. I know at very least when you get it running 60, I think just by running it on the PS5, a lot of the physics and stuff are hard coded for 30. So your character will move around at 60, but then the lantern they're holding will be 30. It looks really weird.
Right.
So, they're going to fix that one problem and then charge $70.
Yep.
Cool.
That's so cool. But
You know what I want? Here's what I want. This is like, I've been wanting this for a while, but there's no hard justification for a video series or any content plan around it, but it absolutely would be useful and interesting information. I want something that measures power draw out the outlet because I want to boot Until Dawn in PS4 mode on the PS5 and then boot the PS5 mode and see like, how much harder are we really utilizing? How much better does this work?
yeah, and they will do literally anything other than re-release Bloodborne. Anything else?
Literally. Yeah.
Anything.
Literally anything.
Absolutely anything.
Yeah.
That seems insane.
Somehow it's going to come down to it. It's going to be like, okay, we can either re-release Bloodborne and fix it for modern platforms, or we can fuck Bob Video Games mom. I hope you're ready, Bob.
They will.
Yeah, now that we know how much that has sold, them not doing it already just seems like Jim Ryan might have been insane.
It honestly, it's either that or there's some legal reason that FromSoft's like, nah.
Yeah, they either have to be some bizarre barrier or Sony leadership was just wildly out of touch.
Right? Like
I thought he was going to say wildly racist because
I mean, that's,
you can't be out of touch with your own sales figures. They're on a spreadsheet in front of you.
well, yeah, but that was only 7 million. Well, why don't we make another Horizon port? That game sold 15 million. Now, never mind the fact that you could get all Bloodborne needs is to run right at a higher resolution. It does not need a remaster.
No.
That
Absolutely.
game has plenty of it's just make it run right. The worst part isn't even that it runs at 30. It runs at 30 wrong.
Yeah, there's frame pacing problems that are so bad I couldn't even tell it was running at 30.
Yeah.
Like it's basically
Like it
impossible
hurts
to tell.
my eyes to look at. I can't look at it anymore.
But yeah, these leaks come from reliable leaker Deal Labs or Bill Coon. So he apparently gets this sort of stuff right frequently.
Yeah, I don't doubt this for a second.
Yeah.
All of that sounds correct.
Right, like that feels like completely believable that stuff.
Just like when someone on Reset Era theorizes maybe that when the Activision gets absorbed by Microsoft, maybe they won't keep on their quality assurance team and customers. Do we have any stories about how that may have panned out a year and a half after that post was made? Chris?
Nightmare.
You have to dive in.
We already have to get here.
Yeah, okay. It's not a lake.
It's time for the layoff block. The layoff meter has been retired due to clinical depression.
Yeah, because at some point it's going to look like bad DBZ power scaling.
Yeah, it's really like, okay, so Captain Ginyu's power level was 120,000, and Frieza's final form power level was 120 million. This was a GameIndustry.biz article. Basically, a bunch of executives were like, you can expect the layoffs to stop around 2026. Just direct quote, if 2023 was the year of layoffs, 2024 will be the year of closures.
Oh my God.
And they specifically were like, not just games, like you guys should expect tons of game publications to just vanish.
I mean, yeah, we've been seeing that happen over a decade, whereas we had a few years there where gaming was just like, this is going to be big forever. This is a healthy industry. And it's almost like we have years of this exact podcast going, you are heading towards a crash on an almost weekly basis for years now.
Mm-hmm.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
One of the many things we do not like being right about.
Yes. As it turns out, I would prefer things be sustainable and that they had been wise during COVID, but apparently they overstaffed insanely, overspent insanely, and now everyone's looking at this problem going, well, how do we not bankrupt and top the last game? What do you mean not everyone's going to buy 40 million copies of our game? It's just like Animal Crossing. It is nothing like Animal Crossing.
Part of the thing was like, hey, the industry's releasing too many games now.
Yeah.
And not only are people as the consumers, because so many new consumers came in 2020, like during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Like the industry actually did grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This just made me think of every story about a publisher throwing a fit about backwards compatibility. It's like people are going back and playing old games that they missed because they weren't into games yet.
Right. For me, part of this comes off as fucking cope, because the people who handled the EA side of Immortals of Avium think the problem is there are too many games. And it's like, dude, what were you competing with during that release window? What are you talking about? There used to be a lot more games on the high end.
They shoved into their own bicycle.
Right, yeah.
I mean, they're right. They're right from the angle of we shouldn't have greenlit that game.
I mean, they are right from that angle, but that's not the core problem. The core problem isn't there are so many games, because there used to be a lot more competition on the high end. Like, the problem is that game was clearly rotten from the core out. Like, every person who's ever had to look at it and experience a trailer, it just slid off. And it's not because there are so many games, though that is maybe contributing. It's that game has no hook that interests anyone.
But part of it was like we greenlit way too many games. Everybody greenlit too many games and expected all of them to sell gigaton numbers inexplicably. So expect all that to dial back. Let's get into the actual layoffs. Riot lays off 530 people, or 11% of their workforce. They did a big blog post and lined all the benefits people who were being laid off would get, and they seem a lot better than most of them. It's not we fired you on the last day of the month, you have no health care now.
Yeah, it's not the also sweeping things of like, oh, well, we meet the bare minimum of what your country requires.
Yeah, they specifically were like, this is what everybody's gonna get. In some places they'll get more because of local ordinances and whatnot. They basically were like, all those single player games bombed. Here's a pop quiz if you didn't see my poll on Twitter asking this exact question. How many of those games are there?
Now, before I saw the answer to this poll. Well, actually, Bob, did you see the answer to the poll? Do you know the answer?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay. Aggro, do you know too?
I feel like I might have seen it.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll just say it. I got I'll chat can play. The options on the poll were, it was when the last one of these games, which ships like February 14th, I think, when the last one of these single player focused League of Legends games launches, how many will there be? Under 3, 4, 5, or 6?
I would have chosen under 3 because I think it would have been 3, and I would assume, given the numbering, that would include that, right? So
yes,
that's what I thought, because you imply that there is yet another that would ship on February whatever, and thus that would be the third in my head. Hey, Chris, how many are there?
6.
Yeah.
We record a podcast to cover news once a week, and we did not.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Apparently, over half of them existed.
Yeah. Only 2 of them got any marketing. Even that got so little I didn't know they released.
Right, and that's another problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if the League MMO's fucked.
I keep forgetting they were working on that. They did confirm like the same day that, hey, Project L is still happening.
Right.
Here's a dev interview thing. We'll see.
Ostensibly, they have ostensibly been working on that MMO for the better part of 8 years. Like, they first started talking about it in 2016, and they did the "we're working on it, not ready to show things yet" thing in 2020.
Wow. Now,
There's also that Minecraft thing they're making, Hightail, where they took like a bunch of Minecraft modders and are like, "You're making some kind of thing for us."
I didn't know about that, sir.
Yeah, I had no idea about this. Chris, you played one of these League projects, right?
I played the very first one, Ruined King, the one that was basically that Battle Chasers RPG, but with League of Legends characters.
Right, and as I heard from you and others, pretty good, right?
It was fine. Like, it didn't keep me in. And every time a character talked, I'm like, is this what fucking League of Legends lore is like? No, thank you.
He says that because the person you talk to the most is Tarek.
It had a really bad map. Like, the map was atrocious. It did not help you navigate at all. Like, it was that level of bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it got on my nerves because every character had wildly different mechanics, but they gave you too many of them. So it's like, I don't want a party of 9 characters that all play entirely differently in this turn-based RPG where I only have 3 slots. Like, it just kind of felt bad.
Yeah, this is insane, though. I genuinely can't. Like, they all slipped past us.
Yeah, no, I also knew about the one where he plays the time controlling kid.
That one was that one was a Metroidvania.
Yeah, and I wanted to try that, but I didn't know it came out.
Right, and that's the thing. It feels like Riot felt like they were above partnering with anyone for these announcements.
Right.
And that's the thing I kept saying about E3 going away is like, you are not above having an E3 game industry. You need a tentpole for people to pay attention.
Right, because they can get things out to people that play Riot games, but they need to get those people who play League are not the only ones.
It's like the Epic problem of like people who installed the Epic thing to play Fortnite are not interested in Alan Wake 2. That's not a circle.
No.
A tiny fraction of them, maybe.
And they even get the cheat a little bit by having the same characters, but obviously it's not the same kind of game. It's not going to appeal to those.
Right,
people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know too many people who are huge into League of Legends who was like, I love Metroidvanias.
Right.
There was like a Diablo-like one, too, that I never saw anybody discuss. Yeah. The problem was they released 3 of them last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, though, they just kept piling these things out.
Like, in that absolutely, them greenlighting that many Riot Games League of Legends projects, that is gross, like, exuberance, right? That's irrational. In the case of, like, because and I don't want to just get stuck on this point, I don't sit there and look at what EA's doing and be like, they greenlit too many games. It's like EA barely ships fucking dick.
Yeah, the sports
Ubisoft
game, they shipped 2 games last year, I think, because they did the
Right.
Dead Space remake and
I think Ubisoft's the
Immortals.
only AAA publisher that I can
And
look
Star
at and go,
Wars.
you definitely ship too many
and Star
goddamn
Wars.
things. Because
And
it's like,
I'm sure they shipped sports games also.
Yeah, that's why I said sports games
Yeah.
other than sports games.
Yeah, it really does seem like they're just going to be like the digital casino company in a couple years. It's like, yeah, we make
Until
sports
that
games
becomes
that are
illegal.
right.
actually- Yes, and that feels like it's gonna.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
it
good
feels
point.
like we're really close.
I don't think we brought it up. Wild Hearts was published by EA, a thing I constantly forget.
Oh right.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was their not indie, but their separate
EA
team. thing.
Here's $90 million, you small indie.
Yeah, here you go,
Small, you
Koei.
small indie Koei Tecmo.
Right?
Yeah,
The thing is that like we're not only going into like a gaming bust, we're going into like a tech bust.
We are, yeah.
And when an industry is in a bust, its political power wanes. Which means if there's ever a time where some regulations were going to get pounded through,
Uh-huh.
it's coming up. Don't smile so big, Dan. This is bad news for some people.
I'm sorry.
I know, I get it. Just try and contain. I can see what you're picturing behind your eyes. Just-
yeah. No, there's no point where it's like, no, regulators. We should put them down. It's like, no, we need anything.
Yeah, it feels like the game industry is asking for regulation, just like the tech industry was, you know? But that's we sure are going to live through exciting times. All I
Yeah.
can imagine is everyone who does those posts who are like gaming peak during 7th gen will turn into bones
Yes,
in the coming years.
Yeah, because every company they knew during 7th Gen will now be gone.
right. And we'll just be here like, oh man, Falcom games are great.
And I will be like, hell yes, they are.
They're just like, gaming's dead. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Pseudo Regalia 2. A 5 giga chat of a video game. The Pharaoh Adventure Rebirth people have turned out another video game. What a great year in gaming.
There has been an undisclosed amount of layoffs at Embracer.
Oh.
They include the studio that made Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, a game that Take-Two said dramatically exceeded expectations.
Right, yeah. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing will save you.
No, you just gotta keep grinding. You need to make yourself useful.
We didn't reasonable business decision our way into this situation. We're not going to reasonable business decision our way through this collapse.
And Black Forest Games, which has supposedly been gutted, that's the studio that was working on that AAA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's God of War and based on a comic where one of them has all the weapons.
Uh-huh.
So that shit's dead already. We're never gonna see that game again. We're never even gonna hear about it again. Like, that sounded fake when it was first came out. It was like, where it's based on a comic, one turtle has all their weapons. It's like God of War. Like, that just reeked of not being real.
Yeah, no,
and,
I get it.
and now it isn't.
Oh,
and
man.
the big one that happened today, Microsoft has fired 1,900 employees across Activision and Xbox. As people on Twitter have pointed out, in November of 2022, somebody on Reset Era was like, usually a company fires 20% of any company it acquires. 20% of Activision's 1,900. Easy. And then they got banned for a month for making that post. I think whoever banned them should never be allowed to post online ever again.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
that should be the penalty.
And
People are and they're banning people now, like today, being like, yeah, this was always going to happen. Why were these people cheerleading fucking acquisitions? You're not going to be happy because Xbox buys Sega.
right, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you're doing console war shit, you're banned.
No,
Yeah.
They're doing
Yeah.
the opposite.
Yeah,
That's like it's the most poisonous human mindset we have. That like, oh no, there are two equal teams, so anything you say that is objective fact that looks bad for one of them is clearly you just being a fanboy.
Microsoft did this to themselves by making those acquisitions their core to their platform's identity over the past couple of years. Like, you can't fucking whatever.
Yeah.
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 It's horrible.
Blizzard has canceled their previously announced survival game. I forgot they even announced that they were working on something like that, but it doesn't surprise me that it's canceled now. That genre's dead.
Well, not too dead. Considering this week we had a pretty big success in it. Although,
Although I would,
yeah, there's other reasons.
Hey, you know what? Saying, I canceled a game in a genre doesn't mean that normally what has historically happened in the video game industry is that SMBC comic where the guy travels from every point in time he wants to have sex with his wife to the same point to have sex with her, and that's why she won't have sex with him ever again. That is the game industry in genres. Where it's like, oh fuck, everyone likes Fortnite, everyone make one! And then no one's interested. So it's actually really smart of them to cancel a survival game now, because we are years into the... Dude, nobody... There's only one that's succeeding, and you know damn well why.
And part of these layoffs, seemingly, according to Jez Corden, was the physical games division. Like the people in charge of distribution and getting discs printed in cases made and them shipped to stores.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go right from this, because there's how much can we beat on Microsoft for this? We spent 4 years saying this was going to happen.
Real quick, I just want to throw this here because it came to my attention in chat just now. Apparently, the mod on Reset Era that gave that person a month ban was someone who had a stake in the acquisition going through. We should go further than not allowing them to post on things online.
No, that has to be further. You should be jailed.
Yeah, absolutely.
That should be a federal trade violation, a securities violation, and you should go to jail.
That is absolutely unreal. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about physical product at Xbox, I guess. One more thing?
One other thing. Part of this is for a bunch of different game studios too, because like Overwatch 2 lost a ton of people too.
Yeah.
It's like insane. Like that
Well,
game is still allegedly still going.
Well, no, it's not, because they just announced the Overwatch League's over. We promise something will come up with it someday. When we get back from getting cigarettes, there'll be a new Overwatch League.
Oh my god.
We promise. So that ended this week. So it feels like just a lot of these big games that maybe didn't pull in as much money as the continued development of them cost are gonna stop.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyways, we have a long list of games to give a chance.
Yeah.
Seeing as how they're about to hit their peak form. Possibly more accurately phrased, their final form.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But it came out last week. Walmart is going to pull physical Xbox games from their stores. So they're doing the thing where they're zeroing out everything. They're not going to let you buy them. It's all going to be down to like the phase out price of 3 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can go get a copy of Starfield if you're really lucky and the system lets it go through. A lot of people have been coping over this and basically going, no, guys, it's a precursor to Walmart getting rid of all physical games. No, it isn't. It's not.
Let's just quickly hit the high notes, okay? And these aren't debatable. The vast majority of Xbox Series sold do not play physical games. The Xbox Series are not performing as well as they could or should be. So
the new Xbox Series X won't even take physical games.
That leaked is adorably all digital and comes out seemingly at the end of this year or in the middle of it.
By the end of this year, you will not be able to buy an Xbox that
plays physical games.
You just won't be able to. So of course, and for the record, you mostly couldn't buy physical Xbox games in stores already. You go there and there's none there.
Yeah, it's been mostly
shrinking.
Empty. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I grew up in an Xbox town, because we were a military town.
Yeah.
Military had a strong bonding with the Xbox 360 as like the platform of choice. Our Walmart was very much in that direction. And you just saw from the PS4 to the beginning of that gen to the end of that gen and then into the PS5, that section shrink and then just stop stocking it.
Yeah, I think the GameStop here has like one shelf that's Xbox, like one quadrant. One of the 4-foot wide quadrants is now and nothing else.
Before I even left the company, like it was already down to the small section was Xbox, which was crazy.
And it's so stupid. Like you can scream about the all digital future being inevitable. It's not. That's just corporations desperately needing that. Corporations will now tell any lie to keep investors from leaving them. But it's like, guys, Spider-Man 2 sold like 6 million copies in the first couple months. At least slightly more, like 55 to 60% of those were physical. Even with Sony's cut, I'm pretty sure Walmart doesn't want that money to just disappear.
Right. This isn't complicated.
Games don't rot. They're not a difficult product to hold and sell.
Right.
Consoles move very fast. PS5s anyway, and Switches. Maybe not so much the third one. And that's not even getting into Nintendo. I'm sure that if Nintendo was willing to give anyone any information ever,
they don't even give me fine-grained information on how long I've played a video game.
I'm sure in America, at least, they're way more physical than digital.
Of course. You want to buy a present for a kid?
Console.
Do you like? I listened to Jeff Gerstmann once tell a story on his podcast. This was like, I don't know, 2 years ago or something, about he wanted to get his nephew or something a game or a gift card, just a gift card actually, on the MetaQuest store. Oh no! And the nightmare that was that. And I'm like, yeah, it sure is easy to just go to a store, buy a fucking box, and hand it to someone. It feels better as a gift giving experience too.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, I buy as many games as I can physical now, and since Amazon will no longer deliver games to you within the first 3 weeks of a game's life cycle, I buy them from Walmart and Target a lot. They move. If I don't show up early on the day a big release happens, I'm probably not getting a copy.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Like it's the fucking cope that physical sales are dying is simply not accurate.
Yeah, we saw a bit of a contraction because of COVID, and now it's like, no, things are back to normal and even better than before then, I feel like.
Yeah, it's been weird because going through the COVID era, it really was a lot to deal with people just being like, well, obviously this trend will continue. It's like, no, we're dealing with a pandemic.
Yeah.
That's a relevant factor in these charts.
It's like, no, guys, this exact thing that's happening is what happened to Sega over the Saturn and the Dreamcast. Like this exact thing where it shrank and shrank and shrank and shrank and shrank and then was gone.
So who are they going to get to publish and release physical copies when they go fully third party? I don't get it.
They'll probably partner with EA, assuming EA is still doing it at that point, which really is a big assumption.
Because they say to hear like, yeah, they're going to have to sort of release Call of Duty physically. They're insane if they don't.
Right.
Presumably, maybe Activision has people there still to do that.
Well, they did.
Or maybe they have. Yeah, who knows? They could be stupid enough to be like, no, Call of Duty's digital now.
Yeah,
like Call of Duty has seemed alarmingly resistant to everything. Like it just seems invincible. Like Call of Duty and Pokemon are the two game franchises. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how broken we are. It doesn't matter what's wrong with us. It won't even matter for the next one, which is usually how that works. The next one suffers.
Which is really funny that both Pokemon and Call of Duty seem immune to that.
Right.
If anything, I imagine just because of how dev cycles line up, we're probably getting a cross-gen Pokemon for the next one because I don't think they want to do a mainline Pokemon entry in the first year or two that the Switch is out. Because, you know, they like to wait like 3 maybe.
Yeah, I kind of think the next thing will be the Gen 5. There won't be anything this year. That'll be the Scarlet and Violet update. Then next year they'll do a Gen 5 remake, or maybe Gen 5 Legends. I don't know if they ever intend to do another one of those.
I don't know why, but just hearing Gen 5 remake as a phrase fills my soul with ennui. They can't
And
do
then-
Gen 4 remake again, right, Bob?
They hopefully they never hire those guys again.
Even if they did, they would have a lot longer to have been working on it this
Instead
time.
of
so
the
it would
9
ideally be
months or
better.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah, like hopefully it wasn't like we started remaking Gen 4 as this weird open world thing. Oops, this isn't turning into the Gen 4 remake. I guess it better be its own thing. Which is
Right.
pretty obviously what happened with Legends.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like if Call of Duty dies, it'll be because Microsoft did something boneheaded and suffocated it. Like it's not gonna if either of those franchises ever collapse from market forces, it will be something nobody can predict. It will be some bizarre everybody just turned off for some reason. It will seem like the sky fell.
I was trying to remember who acquired them. Ilka, the people who did the Gen 4 remix, were acquired by Bamco.
Okay.
They're working on Ice Combat now. Okay, thank you, Evil Lucario. Because I was like, someone acquired them. Was it Nintendo? Then that wouldn't save them from this.
No, but they still work closely with Namco Bandai all the time.
That's
so.
true.
They
So
sure wasn't Bamco like we opened a studio explicitly to work on Nintendo games?
I wouldn't doubt it. It makes sense. They keep working together.
Right.
And, as Nintendo said, the demand for labor to make games will go up next gen. Like it do.
We didn't put it in news, but they put 13 Sentinel spirits into Smash Brothers Ultimate.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
One spirit.
Okay.
It's
They
every character.
Miwako?
No, it's every character. It's every character.
Oh, okay. It's one spirit that's all of them.
Okay.
Got it.
They also
Including
put in Hades,
Miwako?
They also
not.
put in Hades spirits, and it's very funny that ESRB rules are that you cannot promote an E-rated game with the name of a game with a higher rating.
Uh-huh.
So they couldn't actually say Hades or 13 Sentinels in the tweet about this.
Oh, yeah. There's those weird stipulations. Like we saw the same sort of thing happen where
With the Altair costume. It's
Yeah,
like
that was it.
Smash Brothers cross Altair. And I'm like, what the fuck's that?
right.
It's like, oh, it's Assassin's Creed, but you're not allowed to say Assassin's Creed because that's an M-rated game. That's past all the horrors, I guess. So if you signed on to Xbox this gen,
Who are you? One, sound
And
off.
why did you?
And
You
why
remember
didn't
last
you?
gen, right?
I get it. I'm sure that there are people who are like essentially did a protest vote. And I'm like, well, last gen Xbox and Sony were basically identical except for their exclusives. I don't really play AAA games, so I'll just go Xbox this time. And now Xbox is like, fuck you. You won't be you're not getting shit. We're trying even less hard to get Japanese games now. Eat shit.
But they
we won't even
talk-
put the games in store.
But they talk more about trying to get the Japanese games. They talk more. They try less hard.
They paid Square Enix a lot of money to ship versions of their games that won't sell, which will probably stop now that the industry is collapsing.
Hey, they also paid for marketing exclusivity for Yakuza Infinite Wealth.
And those Persona games, man, I want some. If you work at Sega of America, I will find you and kiss you on the mouth if you leak Persona 3 Reload sales Xbox versus PS5.
It's on
Sales.
Game Pass. It's gonna be
I know.
literally there zero.
I want to see 3 versus 1.6 million.
Oh man. So once again, quick recap. The Xboxes aren't quite selling as well as the PlayStations. Not close, and the vast majority of them can't play physical games. Working off of that alone, you can understand why reduced physical presence. And then on top of that, it sounds like, assuming their plans are still the same, that by the end of the year, you get the Series X to not have a disk drive either. So if anyone out there is completely insane and screaming that this isn't real and it's going to happen to everyone, point out there are various factors of why specifically it's happening to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
No, Nintendo's next
so-
portable isn't going to have a cartridge slot.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, we don't want to be in Walmart.
Yeah.
yeah, that's another thing I don't think people remember. Like, if you don't move games, retailers fucking hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason the PSP Go bombed.
Right.
There's a reason it cost so much.
had to-
Retailers went, fuck you.
Yeah, they had to give retailers a big cut of the box to even get them to carry it.
Mhm.
And that will probably happen to Xbox. That's we might enter this bizarre state where you have to buy an Xbox from an online retailer. Like you can't walk into a store and buy one because they don't want to carry them anymore.
So,
And like I don't see that happening to any of the others.
we talked about this a few weeks ago when we talked about when Xbox secedes to become some sort of third-party publisher or whatever. Secedes from the console union. Who takes that space? And it's like, it would be so weird. It would be so weird if somehow Valve just goes, here's the console version of a Steam Deck and tries to take that space. It would be exciting.
It would.
That is very possible. They could fucking juice that thing if it was a console.
Yeah, I mean, I sure would like a Steam Deck that wasn't allowed cumbersome portable so I could use a good controller on it that was just more powerful because from the sure angle of it's a console.
I would say like the big potential ones are Valve doing that, Samsung doing something, or Tencent. Tencent is fucking enormous. Tencent is a $350 billion company. Like they're colossal.
Don't they have a console in Japan in China or something? I thought they had a weird fake one that was going to launch.
You mean the Soulja Boy console?
Yeah, the Soulja Boy console.
Yeah, they ship that and then unship that.
It's gonna have red ash.
It's gotta do it. Time is now. Yeah, a lot of people probably thinking about Steam machines as an indicator for whether or not a Steam console could work. And it's like the Steam machines was such a half-hearted effort, even compared to Steam Deck.
Half-hearted. They let different people make them, I think.
Yeah, they let anybody make them. There wasn't a solidified OS like there is now with the Steam Deck.
And their Proton wasn't where it is now in order to get more Windows games working on Linux.
Mm-hmm.
Like things have come so far in such a small amount of time.
Like the living true that I was like, obviously this will fail. This sucks. There's no one who's going to do
I'm
this.
like, oh, this is exciting. It's not going to work, but it's exciting.
Yeah, nothing but the absolute most deluded PC guys thought the Steam Decks would work. Like, I'm not Steam Decks, Steam machines would work. Everybody saw them and were just like, no, that's not going to work. Valve seems like the most likely because I don't think we're going to have anybody step up and become Xbox. Like, we're operating in under the same rule set as Sony. Like, I don't think we'll get that. It'll be someone who's different.
Right. And that's
I think
the
that's
thing.
what the Steam Deck console offers.
And that's exactly, and that's what the market's missing. Everyone just homogenized into the absolute worst they could be without losing customers. Sony's charging for online, Xbox charges for online, Sony starts charging for online. That sort of thing.
Good. Can you imagine how much, maybe not Nintendo, but Sony will shit their pants if Valve is like, yeah, here's our Steam console. You can buy it in Walmart. It can play games going back to 2000.
I do wonder how much Valve would be interested in having a turf war. Like, does Valve want to do a literal land war with Sony and other companies? Because that's really what decides all of this, right? Whether they want to exist in their own,
But then that also has the problem of it being all digital, so stores wouldn't really want to carry it. So I wonder if
they would have to pay out the ass to do that. Mm-hmm.
I guess they could put in a disk drive and do something.
I don't know.
They could sell boxes with digital codes. In fact, that they're already doing that for some games, like those shitty cloud switch things are just that.
Right,
they
and
sell those in stores.
Stores constantly sold the cards that were the game activation code and things like that for consoles.
They still do that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting.
I don't know how likely it is from a business perspective, that they would choose to do it, but I've always been fascinated by the idea of Apple stepping in. being like, well, Europe won't let us do all this horrible shit to phones anymore, but we can probably do it to consoles for a
God.
few years.
Right?
What a motivation. What is the opposite of altruism?
They do
Capitalism.
have like, yeah, that unless you're Particio.
He's not a capitalist. Not all commerce is capitalism.
I think he literally says he is at one point.
Well, he's very uneducated.
He doesn't know what that word means.
It's okay. His theme song kicks in and it's incredible.
I since Apple's like leaning into gaming a little bit with the like they're seem to be decapitating Apple Arcade a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting these real games running on their phone. I guess I could see them being like, yeah, we stuck better hardware in a little box and it can play Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Yeah, it is kind of funny because it's like you don't have to juice up an Apple TV that much more than it already exists as.
Right. You just need to do
be
like
as good as a phone.
An Apple TV that's marketed as a console. Like,
right. And so it's like, hey, dude, how much is an Apple TV? It's like 300 maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're about.
Oh man, remember all those memes from 7th Gen where it was like Mario, Master Chief, Ricky Bobby. Because of we would get that, but instead of Ricky Bobby, it's Ted Lasso.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah!
Finally.
Please make that edit. I'm trying to find out how much
it's Mario, Kratos, and Ted Lasso.
I'm trying to find out how much an Apple TV costs, and they just flashbang me with Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I look over there for a second. It's like you found the Ted Lasso image instantly.
Dan's literally watching Ted Lasso in the corner of this podcast room. Man loves it so much.
Let's cover something similar to layoffs but funnier.
Okay.
So Nier Reincarnation, the Nier Gacha game, is shutting down in April.
As always.
And here's the peak. We've reached the absolute peak. Love Live School Idol Festival 2 Miracle Live announces the release date for the global version of the game. It's in February. They also announced the closing date of the global version. It's in May. This is not a joke. This is not exaggerated.
Satire's dead. It's just
I am not
dead.
Twisting reality. What seems to have happened is, to best I can figure out, is they signed all the papers to release a global version, started work on it, then went, oops, this game's not actually profitable. We're shutting it down. They still have to release the global version. Because the Japanese version is also shutting down in May.
That'll be only 3 months.
You guys are reacting to this like it's some kind of systemic failure. This is brilliant marketeering. Instead of announcing your gacha game and having poor interactivity and sales and shutting it down in 3 months, announce that it will shut down in 3 months, and suddenly the FOMO kicks in. This is a limited time event. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I'm going to be genuine. If you try and buy currency in that game, mental health experts should show up at your door.
Like Agent Smith and Burley Brawl.
Like it's like, you have compulsion issues.
Yeah,
you need to come with us and we can help you.
Was the announcement like that they shouldn't be legally allowed to sell content for that? That seems insane.
Yeah, I 100% think that like we just need some regulations that's like you have to refund everything in the last year of the game.
Yeah.
That would sure make publishers think twice before going down this road at all.
By the way, for the record, an Apple TV 4K is $150.
Okay, yeah.
So if you could stick a CPU, an APU as good as the phone one in one of those and sell it for some reasonable price.
Right.
And remember, when you're trying to price a possible Apple console, what they sell you the phones for is nowhere near what it costs to make them.
Right.
Not even remotely close.
It's depressing that we have to explain that to people when the margins were literally over $600 on an $800 phone back when $800 was the flagship highest premium model.
Yeah.
Which was a long time ago.
Yeah, it would be insane. It's like, yeah, here's our little digital Apple console. Yeah, it does ray tracing. It's $400.
It does ray tracing. I've seen how Resident Evil 4 Remake looks on the phone. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's
Looks slightly better than the PS4 in some ways and worse in others.
it looks worse in a lot of ways.
And also, it reportedly has like real bad input latency.
Oh yeah, that's right. I noticed that. That's weird. I wonder what that. Hi.
And the final piece of news that might be relevant to console announcements. Princess Peach Showtime launches March 22nd. It was notable that this was not in a direct. Like, they released a trailer showing more costumes that seemed like it would go in a direct with this release date. Like, it expanded and showed us Cowgirl Peach and Ninja Peach.
Nintendo does this sometimes, where it's like, yeah, we don't have a direct right now. We'll just drop a really nice trailer for a new game.
Yeah,
random.
There's a chance we do a direct that's closer to that date that they then just remind people, hey, because March is pretty big distance.
Yeah,
out.
March is pretty far.
There was something else that they also dropped this week, that announcement. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't a game. It was like for some other DLC or for something or other. But I really think we're getting to we don't know there is no Switch games exists after Princess Peach Showtime, except Luigi's Mansion 2, but that doesn't count.
Yep.
And that's fair to say, it doesn't count. Eva Lucario is also pointing out Kirby got a new trailer in January of the year it came out, and then a direct in February. So yeah.
Yeah, like this
okay,
is...
so they could do it.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to think it's like, we're getting April, I think, is when they're going to announce the Switch 2.
I think they announce at the end of the direct that's about they're like, come on by for our Princess Peach, and then the end of the direct's like a Switch 2 teaser.
Yeah, it'll be the exact same sort of thing as that very first Switch commercial where you spend the whole thing not even knowing what it's called, because it's just the dude going around. It shows all the features, shows him playing Skyrim, something that I don't think came out for 3 years after the launch of the Switch. Shows him playing Mario Odyssey, which was real exciting because that was October 2016.
Yeah.
So they do that, then in summer they actually reveal it, and then in September and November they launch it.
But that wasn't our last piece of news.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, you skipped right past that Suicide Squad news.
Oh shit, I did. God
damn it.
They announced the first post-content character for Suicide Squad. It's an alternate version of the Joker. It looks like shit. He's in the thumb. You can see him. He's behind me.
Yeah, he's
right behind me.
He's right behind
in a Marvel movie.
When they announced this, they also announced that basically all the post-launch stuff is multiverse nonsense. So
I knew I wasn't crazy when I were like, yeah, they said you'd be able to play as the Justice League post-launch. That's gonna happen.
Almost certainly.
I knew they were, and man, revealing this before launch is a bad move. So how am I supposed to take that game's story seriously?
Yeah. I'm
You're bringing in
like,
all this multiversal shit. Like, obviously you wouldn't. There's no way they're gonna be allowed to kill the Justice League and just have that sit. It's gonna get reset somehow. But you could pretend.
I could even be like, is the twist going to be this was never in the Arkham universe? Was this just one of the multiverses we were in?
That's a really lame twist.
It is.
It wasn't canon. Wow, what a twist.
That's what the twist is going to be no matter what.
Hey, listeners, I'm going to need you to go to the comments section and just back me up on this one. We all agree that you're not interested in a Suicide Squad kills the Justice League stream from us, right? That would just be the worst stream we've ever
Dan,
done.
If you really didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't be doing the thing you're doing literally right this second. Is it's occurring right now?
We've all seen the gameplay. It will just be 25 hours of us standing there as Harley Quinn saying words and shooting a gun at some guy who's I'm this
really
iconic piece of shit character that no one cares about. And the story leaked months ago, and it's not going to be funny. It's not even going to be as good as Gotham Knights. It's just going to be.
I think you need to enlighten us about your failed career as a hostage negotiator.
You won't. What was that sound? 1 second.
You fired that into the air. You wouldn't do it. I saw you through the window. You're a little bitch.
Yeah, sorry. No, helicopters are for people we think would actually do it.
I don't think I should give you a Taco Bell meal, much less $50,000 in unmarked bills.
We're just not buying that your heart's really into this hostage
Look,
situation.
why don't you send out a finger and maybe I'll take you seriously?
Well, you did it. I'll have to give you a hand. No, I said give you a hand. What are you doing? One moment. That's it for news. News is dead. We live in a post-news society.
Whew, that's good. I mean, it was all the news that's happened this week. I'm glad that there's no more.
Yeah, because it only would have been bad.
If you haven't seen it, please go watch the Game of the Year stuff. It's finishing up. And it's been fantastic to do. I am very excited to become a Zen-like figure post the Goaty grind and play Toho Luna Nights and none of these other games that are coming out that look really great, except for maybe Tekken 8.
Yeah, Tekken 8 came out an hour ago.
It came out an hour ago.
It's very upsetting. I pre-ordered it yesterday. Just like, yeah, I'll be ready as soon as these start big thing. Like,
please be excited for the next part of Goaty, which is coming out on Monday, in which Dan undergoes the worst psychic attack of any content we've ever done.
No, it's true. Just being reminded that happened has upset me greatly.
It is a lot. And you aren't ready for it.
It's literally I can't wait for someone specifically to hear this, to know that he did not let me know that this knife was in the sand and that these two, Bob and Chris, knew. And they waited for that recording for me to step there.
To be fair, I was waiting for you to actually complete that game.
No, it's true. Goaty's hard.
Goaty is hard.
I didn't get to play Talos Principle 2. When I was,
Instead, we just got to rip the rug out from under Dan and his legs went parallel to the ground. It was one of those real bad falls.
Yeah, I made a Fred Flintstone-like sound as I just went horizontal and slammed straight down.
Yeah, face first. It was rough.
Dino! Anyways, that's gonna do it for this episode of Big Think. Bob and I are streaming X-Men Destiny tomorrow.
Everyone has to face destiny.
Please tell me that's not a thing they say in the game.
No, I'm referencing Gundam Seed Destiny.
That's fine. I was afraid that I was gonna have to hear that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I don't fucking remember.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember about X-Men Destiny is one character, I'm not going to say who, dies, and I go, how? Their power is not to die in that situation.
What is this, first class?
Incredible. Incredible. Aggro, what do you have going on in the next week?
I have a small backlog of things I need to go play now that my brain chemicals are different and Game of the Year has wrapped up.
Cool. Hey, Chris, what do you got going on?
Trying to stream during Goaty Cram was futile. I understand that now.
Yeah.
But now that it's over, I can finally stream Darksiders. Almost said Darkstalkers. That franchise is dead. Darksiders. A game that is the most 7th grade core game ever made.
It is basically Slayer's X, right?
It has a lot in common spiritually with Slayer's X, Terminal Aftermath, Revenge of the Slayer.
You can actually look at our metrics, and it's like hours streamed. The moment Goaty grind begins, it just goes.
Yeah, of course.
Ugh. That's very exciting. Anyways, that's gonna do it for Big Think Dimension. Goodbye. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Big Think Dimension. Big Think Dimension is only possible because of you and your support over at patreon.com/gbpodcast, where you can get access to a number of commentary tracks for terrible films, horrible films even, like Dr. Horrible, and various other things, X-Men Wolverine Origins, and extra content for things such as Pokemon Go to the Movies, and more. That's patreon.com/GBpodcast.